beautiful souls. Hannah here from Reality Awareness, and I got the message today to come live and ask you if there is something that you wanted to ask me, or if you could ask me to teach you anything, what would that be? Right? Going to do like a live Q&A session today. So if you got questions, if you need support, if you need help, or if there's anything that you're wanting to learn from me, what would that be? Right? So I'm going to give it a moment and see who's going to join me live. I'm just going to get my Instagram live happening as well, because I forgot about that. Whoops. Press the right buttons. Make sure we press the right buttons, guys. So when you're live with me, when you're joining live, say hi. Let me know you're here. Oh. Okay. And I'm going to share this as well. Instagram live happening as well. Turning that on silent. All right. So let me know if you got questions. If you were to ask me anything in the world, what would that be? Hey, on Instagram and Facebook, we've got both happening today. Okay, let me share this. Say hi, let me know you're here. Hey Angela, hey Tammy. Let me know how you're feeling. Perhaps we'll tap into an energy update. If you've got questions, ask me. I'm all ears today. I'm all yours. Ask me, ask me, ask me. Energy update. I wake up wanting to cry again this morning, actually. Want me to be really honest with you guys. And so I'm getting a little bit distracted at my feet. You guys want to see what's distracted? She was being, okay, come here. Just, yeah. Said I wasn't going to get another cat, and then I was just like, I think it was 2 days later. Too many questions. Okay, tough to pick one. Awesome. All right, so many questions. Ask me, ask me. And then it was like, I think it was 2 days later after Panda had left. I woke up, and just when I went in to see her day, I could see she'd been crying like in the morning when she was still asleep. I could see her puffy eyes, and I was like, that broke my heart. I was like, oh. Then I was like, I'll just see what is around, right? So, and I was like, oh, there just happened to be black kittens ready to go. And I was like, yeah, it feels really right. So, and you know what? It's a really different energy having like kittens in the house, like having kids, right? It's like having like, I don't know, this new little fresh energy in the house. It's really interesting. It's really interesting. So if you could ask me anything, what would that be? Ask away. But yeah, from an energetic perspective, we've got the full moon coming up. Yeah, the full moon is in, so it's actually full on Sunday morning, Australian time. So probably Saturday night or Saturday, wherever you are in the world, if you're not on Australian time zone. And it's interesting because it, like, obviously the full moon amplifies energy, amplifies all these, you know, emotions, it amplifies, but it also brings light to things. Yeah. And as I said in the post yesterday, if you guys read it, it's very much around, you know, what, you know, like I feel like there's been a big clearing and a big shift and a big like, yeah. But it also feels like there'll be another kind of like, just a final kind of release on the weekend with the full moon as well, yeah? So Angela says the barometric pressure seems to be havoc on my bones. What's that about? How do you measure that, right? The barometric pressure, is that what that is? It seems to be playing havoc on my bones. What is that about? So I guess on an energetic level, and, you know, like, this is, like, what I felt, you know, I've been noticing as well, maybe the past 2 weeks to 10 days. It's been 10 days to 2 weeks. it feels like things are really speeded up. It feels like everything is happening at rapid speed. Hey, Erin, it feels like everything is like amplifying, and it's almost like, and I felt this, where are we? So May. From like, you know, like Christmas time, and I'm wondering if you guys had noticed this yourself. So around end of November, December, leading into January, beginning of January, it was a really dark time for a lot of people, right? Hey, Dawn. It was a dark time for a lot of people. It was a space where it was almost like death, right? It was a really dark time. And what I can, you know, what I feel and sense, and I just came out of my life purpose mentorship talking about this. I'm like, there's something going on with these cone shapes, like, you know, like cone shapes, like cylinders. Yeah. It's like we come and then we're like expanding into this space, whether it's like expanding into the light or expanding into, like coming into a sense of, like, and I feel like I'm going to probably draw something or create something around this, because this whole like expansion, right? And it's like when we're at the point of this cone shape, yeah, it's like it's dark and it's death, and it's like, but what's happening is we're birthing into a new reality. And if we tap into what I was talking about 2 or 3 weeks ago, this birthing a new reality, it seems to happen in this cone shape or this 18-month cycle, right? And so we've just kind of birthed into this reality, but it's dark, because when we do come through that tunnel, it is dark and it is like death, yeah? So when you're talking about the barometric pressure seems to be playing havoc on my bones, like, can you give me a bit more information about that, Angela? Like, is that being represented as like you're feeling pain in your bones, or does it feel like there's pressure on your bones? Like in your body, are you in pain? Because it's like when you say like the barometric pressure seems to be playing havoc on my bones, or is it your joints that are playing up? Or like what does that mean to you? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, can you give me a bit more information about that? Because what I'm sensing is that as we're kind of, and it's, you know, kind of twofold, is it like that it's, you're coming through that peak and it's expanding, and that pressure for you to change and the pressure for you to make changes is like, you need to make changes because it's like, it's moving through on this space, right? So Angela says, on raining wet days, underwater days, it seems like my tendons fall away from my legs and knees, and when there's sun, it comes back and they tighten up and it feels better. So many things play into that, right? One is that it feels like if we look at that, like so many things just came to mind when you gave me more information. Thank you. On rainy days, underwater days, seems like my tendons fall away from my legs and knees. It's kind of like, do you turn into like having a mermaid's tail? Like, as a really like out there kind of metaphysics sort of thing. Yeah. And then on the sun, it comes back and they tighten up and it feels better. So it's kind of like you're walking on land, and it's almost like what drops into your subconscious, what kind of like melds into like oneness in a way, right? But we live in our 3D physical world. We kind of like need to like turn up to things on days. We kind of like don't have the luxury to turn into a mermaid and just like go into the subconscious, right? In a way. So it's like, how do you be human and, you know, like coming into reality around those sorts of things? So the other kind of questions around that is like really looking at diet as well, because it's all part of the whole picture. It's not just kind of, you know, one or the other. So it's almost like on a different scale, like taking notice of what you've been eating leading up to those days where it feels like the tendons fall away from your legs, and looking at what is actually going on physically as well as metaphysically. What did you just go through leading up to those days where things fall away? And like, you know, do you feel strong on, you know, those days, like say with the sun's there? And it's kind of like looking at the elements as well as kind of like, okay, well, do you need to bring more masculine strength into your life? Do you go to the gym? Are you fit and healthy? You know, like what is going on a physical level in your body with your blood? And, you know, and then in relation to the connection to the elements, do you have a strong connection to the elements? Like in a way, obviously, right? But it's kind of like, how can you use that to support you rather than it being so what's the word, so much that you're affected by it in a way that it cripples you and not able to do reality, right? So it's like, how can you use the elements to support you rather than them affecting you to the point where you can't move in a way? And I don't know if you can't move, but it's like that feels like in that sense. Yeah, so it's the storm's wave. Yeah, so just like tuning into, you know, what is that, you know, what is that affecting you by, and how can you take your power back around that instead of it affecting you in such a way that it, like, it sounds like it cripples you in a way, because it's like if the tendons fall away from your knees, it's kind of like, can you even walk? Yeah. So really tuning into that sense there. But yeah, there's so many elements that play into fact about that, but I feel like you're almost, one of your gifts is really allowing yourself to, it's almost like you're highly clairsentient and you feel it so deeply. So how do you use that gift rather than it using you? Yeah, is the message that I'm getting for you around that. Okay, so Margie says, when will this rotten sore throat go away? So of course I'm going to say, where are you not speaking your truth to someone? What are you holding back that you really need to say? What do you need to voice to somebody? The other thing I'd be saying there is, like, where are you not living your truth? Is something going on where you're like out of alignment? Yeah, so our truth, our throat chakra and sore throats are that, you know, where you're not speaking your truth, where you're not living your truth. But it's also, the throat is the connection between the head and the heart. The throat is what allows you to connect the two worlds together. Yeah, so we're not stuck in our head, we're actually living and feeling in our heart. And so it comes into like, where do I need to be living my truth more? Where am I out of alignment so much that I'm like scared to speak up, right? It's the kind of like, what environment are you in where you feel like you can't be yourself, where you can't live your truth, where you can't, like, what's holding you back? Yeah, is the message that I'm getting for you, Margie. So as soon as you start even asking yourself those questions, and or what feelings in my heart am I not expressing, which is the same as like needing to voice something. Yeah, so whose truth am I swallowing instead of tuning into what my truth is the message I'm getting for you there. So those of you on Instagram, if you've got any questions, this is a Q&A session. You can go ahead and ask away. If you need support, or if you could ask me any question, what would that be? So Jasmine says, hi Hannah, hope you're well. Thank you. Starting to feel better and better. Been releasing lots. I have been, lots of crying, lots of waking up, and just like, whoa, another wave of grief coming out after Panda going and other things. So Jasmine says, thanks for asking. Jasmine says, I'm just wondering, how do I know if I am psychic or medium or intuitive? I feel so lost. I'm currently in the fitness industry, but I want to make spirituality my business and combine with health, wellness, etc. But I don't want to do that, and it's just a waste of time and it's not successful. Okay, hang on a sec. Whoa, hold up. I want to make spirituality my business and combine with health, wellness, etc. But I don't want to do that, and it's a waste of time and not successful. Do you? Okay, my question to you, Jasmine, do you believe that you don't want to combine with health and wellness and make spirituality your business because you believe that it's a waste of time and not successful? Can you just clarify that for me? You're so welcome, Angela. You actually had to wrap your legs today. Yeah, interesting, right? So it's like really hitting you. And like, yeah, I'd be questioning, you know, like, what's making you fall away at your knees? What are you holding on to that's like a heavy weight that you're like, ugh, like, you know, what are you needing to take your power back around? Okay. So I'll just wait for your response on that, Jasmine. Tonya says, so many questions, but how can I really tap into my intuition? I seem to be hit and miss lately. Okay, so I'll answer that in a second, Tonya, if Tonya's still here. Jasmine says, so I want to do my spirituality rather than fitness. Okay. And do you believe, like, is it that you believe that you don't want to do it and it's a waste of time and not successful? Or is it the spirituality that you believe that, or the fitness stuff? If you can just clarify that for me. So Joy says, why am I grieving? Am I okay? Yeah, lots of sacral chakra stuff for me shifting lately. Lots of releasing patterns, lots of releasing old realities, lots of walking away from a lot of things. And my cat, I chose to put him down last week. I knew it was coming since February, but of course you can never really prepare for things like that. So just still grieving about that. But then also the gift or the lesson or the why put him down, and the why he, was here, and, the gift he gave me and all of that sort of jazz. So yeah, lots of grief around that. That's okay. So Joy says, I need to learn how to do that. Like, is that like grieve? Is that what you mean? Need to learn how to do which exactly? So, and I'm just waiting for that reply back from Jasmine about that as well. I will answer your question here, Jasmine, when you said, how do I know if I'm psychic or a medium or intuitive? For me, it's all the same thing. And I know people will be like, but I'm a medium and that's what I do. And like, I'm not intuitive or I'm not a psychic. I'm actually a medium. And I'm like, okay. So it's cool. You can label yourself whatever you want to do. My belief on that, whether I'm psychic or a medium or intuitive, my belief on that is that as soon as we start becoming aware of our consciousness, of our awareness, of our spirituality, and that we actually able to tune into things, my belief is that you are all of those things. Why? Because as soon as you start having an awareness of spirituality and angels, you're going to have an awareness, and you're going to be able to sense spirits on the other side. You're going to be able to sense darkness. You're going to be, because it's all the same thing, right? As soon as you become aware of your gift and you're psychic, you're also a medium and you're also intuitive. And this is what I teach in my Trust Intuition course. I teach mediumship in there, because if you are aware of spirits, of energy, that means, right? Energy is everything. You sense the trees, you can talk to the animals, you can talk to the spirits, you can talk to the things, you can talk to friggin' anything. Yes, I'm psychic. Yes, I'm intuitive. Yes, I'm a medium. I am everything. Right? Some people are like, oh, that's just ego talking. And I'm like, fuck, man, why do you hate your ego? Are you hating yourself? Because your ego is a part of yourself. Your ego is your shadow. Your ego is a shadow. Your ego is what keeps you friggin' human. You would not be on the planet without your ego. Don't hate your ego, because it means that you're hating your humanness, and I don't want you to hate yourself. If you are hating yourself, if you are hating your ego, oh my goodness, can you stop that, please? Please, please, please. Please. Yes, Joy, that's exactly what this live stream is about. Please, please ask me. So Jasmine says, I just want to know, like, am I psychic? How do I know? Can I make this a business and help others with readings, intuition, Reiki, and yoga? Jasmine, if I can do it, you can do it too. And this is what I teach. I'm like, I teach you how to do this, yeah? Like, this is what you do, right? If you have a sense of an awareness, and if you have that inkling and that calling, and you're like, I want to, like, do that, but I don't know how. Like, that's what I do. That's why you're in the Life Purpose Mentorship. I'm sure you're in there. So with that sense, it's like, can I make this a business and help others with readings, intuition, yoga? I'm like, yes. If you believe you can, yes. If you have an inkling and a soul calling to do, like, if you're like, I want to be able to do that, like, that's your sign. Like, follow that. Your intuition is guiding you, right? So like, you can, right? But if you believe that it's not successful, if you believe that you can't make money from spirituality, if you believe that you can't make money from whatever, guess what? That's what you're going to create. Okay. Now, if you mindset work, like, if you want a successful business, if you want a successful relationship, if you want a successful anything, number one, psychic, what does it say? Like you need to redefine what success means to you. Number one, because success for people may be getting married, having kids, having a family, owning their house. Like they have a successful life. Like that's success. Like everyone's point of success, everyone's definition of success, everyone's definition of love, everyone's definition of wealthy, like wealthiness, everyone's definition of everything is different to everybody. And there is no right or wrong about what success, about what your dreams, goals, hopes, desires are. This is what's really important, because some people are like, that person's really successful, that person's not wealthy, or that person's like, and it's kind of like, but that person's going on about how amazing and successful their life is. But then that person's like, well, they're not really doing that because they're not really doing that. And it's kind of like, well, who are you to fucking tell them, or who are you to like define what success is? I'm like, well, what does success mean to you? And that's your number one thing. Getting clear about what your soul desires are, getting clear about what's important to you, getting clear about what it is for you. Now people are like, oh, that's just ego and I can't have that. It's kind of like, man, everything that is coming from within you is coming from that place of guiding onto your life purpose. Do not deny that. Do not sit there and go, oh, I want this. Oh, but that's just ego talking. I better not have that because that's not spiritual. Fuck that shit off, man. You are disowning and like, you know, shoving a piece of you, a very important piece of you, by the way, away and locking it away in a box and not like, do you know what I mean? Like every single desire that you have, every single like thing that you want, whether it's creating a spiritual business and living a life of freedom, or, you know, and it's again, just what does freedom mean to you? What is your definition of freedom? For me, it's waking up and there's money already coming into my account so that I can go to the shops and get whatever I need for my daughter. It's being able to book a flight, waking up one morning and saying, I want to go to Sydney for dinner, and booking that flight and being able to have that luxury to do that. That's what my soul desires. That may be not what your soul desires. Your soul desires might be to be able to buy a house or invest in property, or like, do you know what I mean? Like every single person has a different desire. It does not mean that there is one thing better than the other. It does not mean that it's egotistical. It does not mean that it is not spiritual, because guys, if we really understand the truth of reality, we understand that everything is spiritual. Why? Because everything is energy. Being human is spiritual. Why? Because we're made up of energy, and energy is the definition of spirituality. At its core, everything is spiritual. What is that saying? Before enlightenment, chop wood. After enlightenment, chop wood. Why? Because having a human experience is having a spiritual experience. We are here because we're experiencing a part of spirituality, a part of energy manifested into a form that we call and have put a label on being human. And if you are denying any aspect that comes from experiencing any part of our human reality, you are denying your spirituality. You are denying consciousness in the evolution through this form, which is humanity, which is experiencing, whether it's going out for dinner, whether it's flying on a jet plane, whether it's going to a tropical island, whether it's going to somewhere and helping humanity, I don't know, build trenches to put a water pipe in. Like every desire on this planet is worthy of your attention if it is coming from here, if it is coming from here, if it is coming from anywhere here. It is you, and it is important that you follow it. Whether it is, like, it doesn't matter whether it's a soul desire. Oh, that's my shadow part talking. Oh, that's my inner child. I better not listen to that because this is coming from a child part of me. Like, oh my God. Are you reliving your, like, childhood by putting yourself down and not allowing yourself to have what you want? It doesn't matter where it's coming from. It's important that you follow it. That is the basis of trusting your intuition, because when you start to do that, that starts to strengthen. Now you might be like, oh, well, I did that and it all turned to shit. And it's like, well, how do you trust intuition? How do you know that intuition is coming in? Or Is it coming from an ego part, a shadow part, an inner child part, a past life trauma? Like, who fucking cares? At the end of the day, who cares? Why? Because when you follow that, it is showing you your next step. When you follow that, it is showing you the next thing you have to unlock. Why? Because for some damn reason, we're on this evolution scale of consciousness that continues to evolve and grow, and like who really knows at its core why we do these things? The most important thing is that you allow yourself to have the freedom to say yes to what is calling you. No matter what that looks like, whether it's you want a relationship and to settle down and have kids, like, trust that soul desire. There is a reason that is calling you. Yeah? So how do you know whether you're psychic or a medium or intuitive? I say you're all of those things. Because as soon as you become aware of energy, of that you do sense spirits and angels and whatever it is, if you can sense angels and you can sense energy and you can sense a presence, you are going to sense the souls that have died and they're stuck on the earth plane. You are going to sense dark spirits. You are going to sense light spirits. Why? Because you sense them. And this is why in Trust Intuition, I teach you what to do. I teach you mediumship. I teach you everything you need to know, because when you become aware of spirituality, people shut down their spirituality when they start sensing spirits hanging around them, or they get psychically attacked by spirits that are stuck on the earth plane and have gone really dark. Like, if you do not know what to do with that stuff, you will freak out and you will shut down your entire spirituality. And I don't want you to do that, because the more you can open up, the more you can, one, know what to do with those spirits that turn up and you sensing things, and like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's like essential that you know what to do with those things. Right? It is essential so that you can continue to trust intuition and live your life purpose, right? Because the more you want to trust intuition, the more you start doing that, the more you're going to sense more and more things on the other side of the veil. And it's so important that people know what to do with it. That's my passion, because I want you to keep trusting your intuition. I want you to grow your spirituality, and that involves being a psychic, being medium, being intuitive. Now, let me define psychic. Now, when I first started online and I was giving lots and lots of free psychic readings, kind of like every live stream I did, that's what I did, right? Now, I was so passionate, and I still am today. So let me go to, I'm still answering your question, Jasmine, but let me go to Joy. So Joy, you asked me, am I a psychic? I said yes. Joy said, we need to chat. Can I ask you a question? I said, yes, please, because this is what this live stream is about. Question and answer. Ask me a question, I will answer. Now, you asked me, will I ever get married? I'm saying to you, I don't know. But you're like, but you're a psychic, you should tell me. And I'm like, no fucking way will I tell you if you're going to get married. Do I know the answer? Did I get an answer? Yes, I did. Am I telling you that? No. Why? Because I believe, and this is where I'm like, I'm a psychic, but I will not tell your future. Why? Because nothing is set in stone. I believe that we are the creators of our reality. And I believe that your tomorrow is created by what you do today. I believe that your tomorrow is created by the choices that you wake up and make in that moment. Nothing is set in stone. Now, psychics see the future. Yes, this is what happens when we start to become aware of our spirituality. We grow our consciousness, we grow in trusting our intuition, we do spiritual work, we work on our third eye, we do all these things. Yeah? Seeing the future is a byproduct of working on your intuition and growing, you know, your skills and all that sort of thing. Like, seeing the future and having premonitions and seeing all this stuff is something that happens, right? To more people, like some people see that stuff quite a lot and they freak out and they don't know what to do, and then they shut down again. So again, this is why in Trust Intuition, I teach you what to do with this. And I teach you that, yes, we see the future, but when you're giving psychic readings, and this is where I get so fired up and so like protective of people and pissed off with like psychics who like tell people's future, and then like, you know, and the reason that it comes true is because that person that was told that thing believed that and took on that person's truth about their own reality. They're like, oh, I'll believe you over my intuition. And so they seeded that within, and that started growing. And so that created that. Now it might fall apart because it came from an outside source. It was not something that came from inside. If you guys have seen Inception, that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, that's like the basis of that movie is like you can plant an idea in somebody's subconscious, but it needs to come from within them for it to stick and for it to be that. Because one day that person's going to wake up and be like, oh, that was never what I wanted to do anyway, right? We're being told this outside thing. And this is the basis, again, of trusted intuition, of like unraveling all those things that people told you and learning to tune in to what is right within you, to trust your intuition and what is guided, because that is the fastest way to fast track your dreams. That is the most powerful way to live your life purpose and do what you're meant to do on this planet, right? By tuning into what's right. This is why I teach trust intuition, because I'm passionate about that. So will you ever get married? It's literally about, well, yes, as you said, doing the work to prepare. Like, is there space in your reality for a relationship? Are you a workaholic and there is no room for a relationship? Have you done inner work on healing the past relationships so you don't repeat patterns of all the relationships that didn't work? Have you dived into past life work that is like the reason why you said you'd never be in a relationship or you'd never get married again, and this is why you're not married yet? Like, there's so many factors that come into that. And if you want to create anything in your reality, I believe that you can. Because we are the creators of doing whatever we choose to do. Now, where does it come in from being like in a desire? Like, where is that like, well, is that a desire and is this my life purpose and is this my life path? Or does it come into a space of like, well, is this like just something that I'm wanting to create and that's not in alignment with spirit or my life purpose? Or like, people get confused because they're like, oh, is that my ego because I just want to be loved? Or, like, again, who cares on all those bits? Who cares on all those bits? What I care about is that you're following your heart's desires now. So if you have a desire to be in a loving relationship and get married, right? If that is your desire, I am fully supporting you on manifesting that desire. Now, what does that look like? You just said then, I have to heal from a narcissistic pig. And I'm like, cool, because right? Now, I'm not saying one or the other here. I'm saying these are the possibilities, the energetics of what happens when we follow these soul desires. I want to be in a loving relationship. I want to get married. And then it's like, oh, I have to heal from being with a narcissistic pig. Your words. Yeah? Now, so we go along and we do all this healing about all the trauma and where that started from and why you attracted him in the first place and blah, blah, blah. And we unpick all those things. What happens is we get to a point where the desire to be in a loving relationship and get married, it's almost like it splits off in two, in a sense of like, now you have two choices once you've healed from all this stuff. Now, I'm not saying you have to heal and be perfect before you will be in a loving relationship. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that you get to a point through your healing journey of everything you've been talking about, and it comes into like, oh, I can choose to be in a loving relationship and get married now. That's still a desire there. But there's also this other desire that's come up from being healed from all this stuff and all the shit and trauma that I've been through with that person and beyond. Oh, in fact, that's where it started and blah, blah, blah. We get to a point where we're like, oh, actually, this is about me loving myself. And actually, I want to be like, I just want to be with myself for a bit. I actually want to create my life. And actually, I really wanted to like do this course in university that I actually put aside because of him, and getting covered in goosebumps, by the way, truth bumps as I'm saying this. We get to a point where we realize we're like, oh, the desire for a loving relationship and marriage is safety and security within myself. And I actually feel like, I actually feel like I just love myself. And oh my God, like, how did I not love myself? And why did I put my soul's desires aside to be with that person? And actually, I don't want to get married right now. I actually want to live my life. And what happens when we follow that new desire that's come up? Oh, we're living our life and we're going to, I don't know why I'm using that example, going to uni because I wanted to do that course, and still covered in goosebumps, by the way. And we're like, we go and we do that because that's what's bringing our heart alive. And what happens when we're following our heart and our soul's desires and we're in this like stable, secure place and we feel safe and loved because we've learned that, oh, that's what that relationship was teaching me about loving myself and doing me. And then we come into this space of like like loving and doing our life, and what happens? Oh, we meet someone who's also loving and doing their life, and what happens? Oh, the effortlessness brings that together, and we're like, oh, right? So I say we create our own reality, and it doesn't matter what that soul, ego, shadow, inner child desire is, because all that is doing is forcing us, is desiring us to heal and follow that, because we don't know where that desire is leading us. It could lead this way, it could lead this way, but when we follow the right now about what our soul is guiding us to do, epitome of life purpose. Epitome of life purpose. Sure thing, Jasmine. I'll double check that I've answered your questions too. Love comes naturally. Why? Because the desire to be in a loving relationship and get married is usually a desire for a lack of that within ourselves. And when we feel that within ourselves, we're like, oh, and the whole vibration shifts, and all of a sudden, oh, we're aligned with that. Yeah? Okay. You're going back to school in September. Right, that's why I started talking about it. You want to talk about being psychic? Okay, I don't know why I'm saying this, but I'm getting goosebumps. I'm like, right, that's what psychic is like. Yes, self-love. Ended up doing that 6 years before I met him. I was so content. Right, okay. Now, this is where it comes in. You get into these places, and it's all like you get into a place and you meet somebody. Now, because of what you've been through, this will happen again. Now, what happens is we get really clear and solid on our values, on our self-worth, on what we really want in a relationship. And what comes into that space is us, like we have people turn up in our field, and it's almost like, I don't like the word test, but it's like a test from the universe, a test. Someone will come in and we can be like, oh yeah, this is great, but hang on a sec, actually that's not in alignment. Oh, that word that they said. And we're more switched on to the red flags. We will have the self-worth on board to go, you know what? Yeah, just in yourself. Yeah, I've been through this situation before. Yeah, that's in alignment, but that's not. And last time I ignored that and I lost 6 years of my life, and I'm not going to do that again this time. So I'm just going to have more self-worth and self-love on board, that I'm happy in my life, I'm doing what I want. And then, and we can go along, and then might be someone else come in. And again, it's kind of like, yeah, okay, this is good. And then we're like, actually it's not. And we have the courage, the self-confidence, self-worth, and the self-love to actually go, yeah, no, sorry. And it's almost like when you're saying that, you're also saying to the universe, yes, but no, still not full alignment. Yes, but no, still not full alignment. And it's walking forward in that trust that you have the self-worth, self-love, and enough on board to be able to walk forward and actually tune in to what is really in alignment and stay on path this time, instead of losing 6 years of your life. Now, I'm saying that in a way, losing 6 years of your life, but it actually wasn't that, because it's actually you coming into a deeper self-love, self-awareness. And without that 6 years, you would still probably be back, I don't know, do you know what I mean? It all teaches us, and nothing is really lost, and it's all perfect. Please know I'm not saying that's bad. I'm not saying that. But it's, easy understanding. Yeah, you grew a lot. Exactly. Okay, let me check these other questions here. I just talked a lot then. I guess that's my passion and around, are you psychic? Are you an intuitive? Or are you a medium? And I'm like, you are all of those. And the way that I teach is almost like I feel like one of my big purposes is to break the truth, break the myths of modern day spirituality, when people are like, oh yeah, I'm psychic, but I'm not a medium. I'm like, fuck you, fucking everything. It's kind of like, but what I will say to that is you might, experience doing mediumship sessions with people and actually find that, it's a passion of yours. And so you will follow the mediumship, thread, or, you will promote your business and stuff that you are a medium, and you're just getting clients mediumship, because that's what a big part of your life purpose is. But it doesn't mean that you're not an intuitive. It doesn't mean that you're not a psychic. You are all of that. But my passion is teaching people that we don't tell people's futures. Yes, we see a life path. However, and the thing is, right, because I could sit here and go, Joy, yes, I did see you getting married. Right? Now you'll be like, oh, okay, so that psychic told me I am going to get married and I am going to have the life of my dreams. So the first person that comes along, Joy, you will be like, oh, well, the psychic told me I am going to get married. And you can go down that path and it turns to shit, and you'll be like, well, that fucking psychic told me that, and like now my life's shit again, right? But the way I just explained to you, right, about like one person will come in and your radar system will be like, okay, it's kind of like in this space, you'd be like, you know, the radar system would be like, that person, and I said, maybe there'll be some things in connection, you'd be like, but actually there's these things, and I've just been through that, and I've learned that, okay, and your self-worth and self-love, like, is strong enough and on board to, like, the next person comes in, like what I said, yeah, and then eventually, it'll be that person, and you will get married. But if I had just said to you the vision that I saw, yes, you're going to get married, the first person that came along, you're probably going to go and get married with them and end up in a divorce and stuff. I mean, like, do you know what I mean? Like, the totally creating your own reality is really, like, I'm so passionate about that. I'm so passionate about psychics not just telling people's future, because for goodness sake, like, there are so many other, like, threads involved in that, like past life trauma. If you haven't cleaned that out, if you haven't, you know, dived deep into like where it really stemmed from, and then a thread off that in the subconscious in the past, like if you haven't cleared that stuff out, you are going to repeat patterns. And that's why people are like, oh, the spiritual stuff doesn't work, the psychic stuff doesn't work. Like, it's kind of like, yeah, did you go deep enough with that, or did you just listen to someone's opinion of like a vision they saw? Like, do you know what I mean? And this is where I'm so passionate about, yes, use your psychic abilities, but don't tell people's futures, because that might not be their life path. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you just, it's really, I guess it's a complex thing, and I'm really passionate about it, because it's why people like us in the past got killed for that, right? It's why people, you know, like, you know, psychics will say something and they'll tell the future and this bad thing's going to happen. And it's kind of like, well, did you give them the tools? Did you teach them that actually if they made a different choice and gave them their power back, instead of you sucking all their power and they have to come to you to like, you get, no, this is where I'm passionate about teaching you to trust your intuition, because you are the creator of your reality. And imagine if everybody in the world wasn't listening to outside sources and they took their power back. Like, we'd have peace on earth ultimately, because everybody is fighting with everybody, because we're just trying to listen to all these other people and take on their opinions, and we're just like, we're so confused, and then it's too much, and we're taking tablets to numb it and all sorts of jazz, right? As you can see, I'm really passionate about, are you a psychic? Are you an intuitive? Are you a medium? You're all of those things, because if you sense energy, you will sense those things. It's important you know what to do when a soul that has just been in a car accident and has lost their family, or they've committed suicide. It's important you know what to do with that soul when they turn up in your environment, because you, as a psychic and as, you know, an intuitive, and as you're growing your spiritual awareness, what's happening is your light is getting brighter, and in the spirit world they're seeing those people's lights, and that's why they're coming to you, because they know that you can help them, right? Doesn't mean that you have to help every soul that comes to you. Boundaries in this reality are the same as in the spirit world. You wouldn't just let a stranger walk in off the street into your home, would you? Like, just letting people walk in and out of your home. Like, you wouldn't do that in a physical reality, so you don't do that in the spiritual reality as well. Yeah? Okay. Obviously needed to say that. I'm really passionate about it, right? I'm really passionate about it, because I get people come to me and they're like, this psychic told me this thing, and I'm just like, are you kidding me? And then I say what I've just said to you guys, right? And they're like, oh my God, I feel so much better. I feel like I can live now. And I'm like, yes, I can't believe people tell people this stuff. Like, oh my God, right? I'm really passionate about it, as you can see. Okay, just let me check that I've answered those questions. Okay. Yes, you did. I'm pretty sure you signed up to Trust Intuition as well, Jasmine. I'll double check that for you. For sure. I know you're in the Life Purpose Mentorship, but I thought you joined Trust Intuition too. Okay, so, all right, Blossom, I hope this question is okay. I have been getting really hot and nauseous lately when I'm giving somebody a treatment. I'm wondering if it is because I'm taking on their energy more, or is it something else? Okay, awesome question. I'm not reading tarot cards, but if you've got a question, I'm more than happy to answer. I've got, Instagram and Facebook happening today, so yes, please ask away, but I'm not pulling cards for people, not today. Okay, so am I feeling really hot and nauseous, or is it because I'm taking on their energy, or is it something else? Okay, so number one, whenever we start to feel sick, like we feel nauseous, like we've taken on somebody's energy. Okay, if we've just had an interaction with someone, or I'm seeing you guys join live too, I'm not purposely ignoring you, I'm seeing everybody. So we feel sick if we've just had an email from somebody and we're like, ugh, like we just like start to feel sick, and like maybe we've got to start to get a headache and like, right? If we feel that, whether in whatever interaction, whether it's on the phone, whether it's an email, whether it's a message, whether it's a treatment and we're doing a treatment for somebody, if we're feeling sick, we're taking on their energy. Now, a couple of different threads here with that blossom. Like, I guess different what it could be. Definitely you've taken on their energy. Now, if they leave your healing session and they've gone home and you're at home and you're still feeling sick, you've definitely taken on their energy. So like clearing your energy and that sort of thing. And it's interesting, right? Because when we I don't know what the word is. Okay, when we are receiving intuition, and so I'm going to talk specifically in a healing session with what you're talking about there, Blossom. So in a healing session, when so specifically talking about that, when we are receiving intuition about the person, about what we're healing, like what's going on for them, and we're receiving the messages and the guidance and stuff, right? When we are receiving intuition about that, so we can get best guide and heal them and blah, 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 we will feel what's going on for them. Okay, this is very clairsentient empath style healing too, by the way. We will feel it in a sense of, let me give you the example of, like, I don't know, they've got a shoulder injury, but they didn't tell you about that. Or they've got heart problems and they didn't tell you about that. And all of a sudden, when you start talking to them and they're telling you what's going on in their life with their relationship or something, and all of a sudden your shoulder's like got pains in it, or you're struggling to breathe, and you're like, oh, like actually you start to feel physical pain in your heart. You can be like, you can do either way. Like I'm like, oh, I'm feeling really like my heart's really hurting, like physically hurt. Like, are you heartbroken about that? And they'll be like, and then they start crying or something, right? So you're receiving intuition empathically, clairsentient, using your clairsentient skills, and that's and as soon as you voice that message to them, so to speak, that should go away for you, right? Because all of a sudden, like, and what has happened in that moment is that your intuition is giving you the message via clairsentience. Now, if you're really claircognizant, you might start thinking about heartbreak, or you might start thinking about heart attacks, or that sort of thing, depending on the way your intuition gives you messages. And this is where trusting your intuition and the way you receive messages, symbols, like in the start of my intuition, I'd receive all these symbols and I'd have to decipher them. Now I receive it differently because I understand the way my intuition talks to me. So it could be like heart attack, and you'd be like, if you don't know how your intuition speaks to you, this is where psychics give wrong information. You might get the message about heart attack and you'll be like, oh fuck, like, oh, so you're gonna have a heart attack, you better get to hospital. Like, do you know what I mean? If you don't know how your intuition speaks to you, and this is why you need to understand and trust your intuition and learn it and build a relationship and blah blah blah, you've just sent that person into fear. You're giving them a wrong information, you know what I mean? And it could be like, okay, like I'm getting a message about heart attack. I don't feel like you're gonna have a heart attack, but what's going on? Like, how are your cholesterol levels? Or, you know, what's your diet like? Like, have you had heart pain at all? Or are you just that heartbroken and devastated about losing the relationship that, you know, like, do you know what I mean? And then the shoulder stuff could be like, oh, my right shoulder's really stiff. Like, you know, what's the relationship like with your father? And like, do you like carry the burdens of like the weight of the world? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's so many things about deciphering your intuition. And again, this is why I teach trust intuition and how to do it and blah, blah, blah. Because that's really important when you're coming into being a psychic, being a medium, being a spiritual healer, being an intuitive. You need to be able to translate the messages your intuition is giving you about a person without sending them into fear, without, you know, giving them wrong information, in a sense that, I say wrong information, it's you deciphering your intuition and the best way to heal and support them. And if you don't have that relationship with your intuition and how you're being guided to help somebody, then that's where, you know, all those things happen and people go into fear and like, oh, the psychic told me I'm going to die. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, they're going to manifest that because, do you know what I mean? They're in fear about it. And what happens? So when you're saying, okay, it's more getting super hot and then it makes me nauseous. Yeah, okay. So the other thing, so that was one little instant, right? Now, the other thing is that when we are, so feeling sick about that, like you get super hot, is sometimes the other, so we're just answering that specific question, when we are channeling energy, like I'm really hot now, right? Because I'm like intuition's flowing through and all that sort of jazz. When we are in flow, when we're in healing session, when I'm on live stream, intuition's flowing through, right? We're connected, we're really in tune. So when I get really hot, it's like, you know, with that. So I feel like for you, Blossom, you're getting to a point where it's like, oh, I feel nauseous because there's so much energy flowing through you. So a couple of things, you can work with your intuition on building, deciphering, strengthening that. But also you can obviously talk to your intuition and say, hey, I get really nauseous when I'm doing this. Can we like tone it down a little bit? Or is there another way you can channel through me without making me feel sick? Now, on a different level, and the message I just got for you is I would be doing a past life meditation on what it means to heal people, because like in relation to this nauseous thing, because I just got the message that it's probably a little blip, like something from a past life going on there that, I don't know whether it's, I know it's like always the usual story, we got killed for our gift back then, but I feel like there's something else about it. So whether, I don't know, even, this is going to sound really weird, but it's almost like, even if you were doing that, I just got covered in goosebumps. So even if you're doing this healing thing in a past life, right? And what happened, what I'm sensing is the trauma thing that's specifically stemming that from you, specifically for you, Blossom, is that you were healing someone in a past life and you actually made them sick, and because and then they might have gone and died from that, and it was like you got killed for that, like big story type stuff there, right? But the basis of why you're feeling nauseous now and your intuition is flowing through in that way is because you're carrying guilt from killing that person. You were healing them, but it actually made them really sick, i.e. nauseous, and it ended up killing them rather than healing them. So you feel guilty about that, and you have taken on that guilt and haven't cleared that guilt out. I know I've worked with the alternative. Didn't we talk about guilt? That's something's coming to mind about that actually. So I feel like for you, clearing out that guilt is going to stop you taking that on such a deep way, because the other message that I got is that, you know how I just described them, when we receive intuition and we receive intuition, so we might feel sick or something, or might feel heartbroken, like real pain in our heart because that person is heartbroken about the relationship, but you're receiving information from your clairsentience. That's how your clairsentience is communicating to you about that situation. I was gonna say the other side of that is that when we are healing somebody and that like we start to feel sick, nauseous, is because we're taking it on to heal them. So instead of supporting their energetics of their body to work and heal and do its own thing, you're actually healing them by taking away their pain. And so that's what's making you feel sick. Yeah. Now, and then they'll kind of leave, but it's not actually that it kind of like the energetics didn't fix properly in a way. And I'm not saying you're doing it wrong, but that's just the other side. And I'm not saying you specifically, I'm saying anyone who does healing work and we take on people's stuff to heal them, that comes from a place of guilt. So when we heal guilt within ourselves, we actually don't take on people's energy anymore, because as light workers, as healers, empaths, whatever you want to call yourself, we actually, when we feel like, what's the word? We feel guilt, or what am I saying here? So because we don't want people to feel pain, we don't want people to be hurt. If we don't know how to heal them properly with skills, tools, blah, 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 doing actual healing work. So again, Blossom, this is not what I feel like is going on for you, but the guilt is, in a way, that guilt, and that's where it stemmed from, in that deep past life. That's where you'd unlock the core of it. If, you know, like, we don't want other humans to feel pain. We don't want people to feel pain. So we take away their pain. And that's where we get sick. That's where we're carrying everyone's energy, and we're like, why? Because we want to help them, and that's the only way we know how to, right? So the other side of feeling sick is we're receiving intuition. That's how intuition's communicating to us. Or we're taking away their pain to heal them because we don't know how to do this bit, yeah? And so then we're kind of compounding and blah, blah, blah. But I hope that answers your question. I know it was like a long-winded answer to your question, but it's kind of like, at its core, I feel like the guilt thing is for you, but it's coming from past life stuff. But I would also work with fine-tuning your intuition and feeling nauseous. But I feel like if you heal that guilt stuff from that past life where instead of healing them, you killed them accidentally, like that was a mistake. So working on releasing like wrongness as well would be important for you too. That I feel like you won't feel nauseous like that anymore because it's triggering the past life stuff, if that makes sense. So yeah, so I'm trusting that helped you. Let me know if that makes sense. Okay. All right. Hey guys, wasn't purposely ignoring you. Hey James, resonates greatly, awesome. Okay, you answered stuff for me I needed to hear. Awesome, Melissa, yay. Okay, totally makes sense. Awesome, awesome. Please don't take the first person that comes along. Yeah, and that's the thing, but this is where I'm saying that, you know, if people, they go to a psychic, they give their power away, if like they ask that question and the psychic sees that, did they see the rest of the stuff that happens before that, or is that the final outcome? Do you know what I mean? And this is where it's like so important to know how your intuition is communicating to you, so you don't just go and tell somebody's future and they're like, oh, well, that's what's going to happen, and that's the, you know, thing, so I'm going to believe that, and that's what happens. The first person comes along and they do that, you know what I mean? Okay, out you go. Okay, sorry, my kitten wants to get him, wanted to go out. Okay, so okay, Tammy says highest timelines possible should be supported with the right tools. Exactly, yes. Okay, Carlos says I have a hard time with visualization and meditation. So number one is that it takes practice. It's a muscle, it's a skill, and we can fine tune it. Just like going to the gym or becoming a bodybuilder, that doesn't happen overnight. There's dedication, there's discipline, there's training, there's turning up, there's consistency, there's a long period of time. Okay, same thing with visualizing, meditating, any sort of psychic skill. Yeah, practice, dedication, commitment, discipline, training. So that would be why. So that part of it, and then also with visualizing, whereas he said you have a hard time with visualization. Oh my goodness, visualization with meditation. You're so welcome, Blossom. You have a hard time with visualization with meditation, meaning you might not be strongest in your third eye. You might be highly clairsentient. You might be really clairaudient. You might be really claircognizant. What other skills do you have? So, you know, it's kind of like we're always strongest in one of our spiritual organs. And I say let's strengthen them all rather than just being strong in one. But dedication, commitment, training, discipline. Like, do you know what I mean? It's not, sometimes it just happens overnight, yes. But usually we need to fine tune that skill, yeah? So Carrie says, I get very hot when doing healing type activities. Yes, Reiki cards, meditating, yes. And have just thought it's universal energy that gives off a lot of heat. My words. Not sure, but hope you may know more. Yeah, and it is. It's just like when we're connecting, when we're channeling, when we're, you know, in flow, like, yeah, ask any sort of healer or anything. Heating up is quite common. Just like doing yoga. And I feel like what that is us connecting to our higher self, connecting to source, getting our human self out the way and letting spirit completely channel through us. And, you know, because just like doing yoga, we heat up, yes, we're moving, and but it's like at the end of a yoga class, it's like put a jumper, put a blanket on, because you will cool down very quickly, because it's like, you know, but I feel like that universal energy, it's almost like that's what fuels us, that's what gives us the aliveness, that's what, you know, brings us into that space. So Instagram live is about to end. That tells me I've been on for like an hour already talking away. So gonna love you and leave you, dear Instagram. Love you heaps. And that there, because it's gonna end anyway. All right, and you can do an hour on Instagram. Okay, so use the counterclockwise spin and then clockwise releases any magnetic attached to your dynamic, and then dynamic attached to your magnetic. Yes, that's the there's a name for that, the Tibetan rites, isn't it? It's an awesome practice, that one, for sure. Yeah, there's lots of things that can clear our energetic field. My free meditation pack, if you guys don't have that, there's like 6 free meditations in there. One of them's like really long, clears through the chakras, but it also clears and repairs the connection from, say, your crown to your third eye, like the connection in between the chakras and the chakras in between the chakras. So it's long, it's awesome to listen to while you're falling asleep, but it's very, very deeply healing as well. Let me just bring that up, put that link in for you guys. If you don't have my free meditation pack, there's lots in there. There's also like my there's training videos in there as well, and I highly recommend taking the time to watch them, because I go into detail about you know, how to use that meditation, what you can do, you know, how to do it in your modern day life when you're driving, well, not really driving actually, when you're like, you know, going to sleep, or whether you're doing the dishes or multitasking. It's like, how do we become the meditation? How are we always connected, not just when we're meditating on our mat? How do we, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, I'm passionate about breaking the myths of spirituality and modern day spirituality and bringing it into reality, guys. Like, hello, we're gonna change the world. We need to like stop telling people their futures to start with, is number one. But it's really like you know, tapping you into that space of being connected all the time, not just when we're meditating, not just when we're on our yoga mat. Like, it's like, how do we be the intuition? How do we live that in everyday life? How do we stay connected all the time, right? Because it's our conscious awareness of the connection. We're always connected, but it's our conscious awareness of the connection. How do we strengthen our consciousness of the connection so it becomes who we are, and we're never disconnected from that consciousness of the connection? Yeah. Let me pop in this link for the Essentials free meditation pack. If you don't have that, like I said, you can sign up. There's 6 free meditations in there, super helpful, and a couple of different ones as well. So it's like clearing your energy, strengthening your energy, but also about what's the word? Like, there's the realm attunement in there. If you really want to start fine-tuning your life purpose gift and tapping into your gift, the realm attunement, go and grab that one for sure. Aligning to your life purpose and reclaiming your gifts, like that one in there. You want to do that one more than once. So Tonya says, that explains why I keep getting hot at work today. I was taking on the energy of someone else. Thanks for explaining this. Yeah, and that's the thing, like, again, it's like really important to know, is it coming from like you're wanting to help them and you don't know how, so you take on their stuff and you don't give it back? Or are you receiving intuition and your intuition is communicating to you about what that person's going through? And the difference between carrying their energy for good and not is the space where actually my intuition was giving me messages about them, to say something, to hold space for them, to whatever your intuition is guiding you to do about that. Or am I feel like I don't want them to feel pain, and I'm like, this is how I can help them by taking it on, right? And a lot of spiritual empaths, a lot of people do that generally, even if they're not consciously spiritually aware that they're an empath or whatever the story is, right? People do that all the time because humanity doesn't want humanity to feel pain, but we're noticing it in our environment all the time, right? So it's why watch the news and people start crying, or like all this sort of jazz, right? So you're so welcome, guys. Thanks for joining me live. That was an awesome Q&A about tapping into how to tell whether it's your intuition, how to know that you're healing somebody or whether you're carrying their energy to heal them, blowing the myths out of the water about ego and intuition and desires and shadow and soul like desires, or humanness or inner child, like how to decipher all those, and that they're all important for your life path, for your life purpose, for who you are, yeah? So if you think this live stream can help somebody, please share it with them, or share it in a private message, share it on your page. You can tag them in the comments. And if you've got any questions, just send me a private message. Lots of love to you guys. Keeping it real as always. Namaste.